I told you. I absolutely told you what is going to define Rishi Sunak's premiership is if, or well, at least shall we say, how long he can be Prime Minister. And we'll get to the time limit in a minute, but you can already probably see it here. How long he can be Prime Minister. He has rebels to the left of him, rebels to the right of him, and there he is, stuck in the middle with Jeremy Hunt. And even some Tory rebels are going after Jeremy Hunt, just as we talked about yesterday. We've already talked about rebel Tory MPs going after concessions in the levelling up on wind, maybe potentially even the budget. And if that happens and you get a prime minister who can't pass his budget, and remember, the key reason, the only reason why Rishi Sunak is there is for that budget. And once that's passed, as we've said, what's the reason for Sunak beyond the budget? There really isn't one. The party, as we've said so many times, is so fractured that it is a house of cards built on quicksand on an earthquake fault line. And oh boy, is the Richter scale an earthquake, detector machine, the needle starting to wobble a bit. And if this is true, as what we can see here, that Sunak is being told he has 6 months to get a grip. 6 months. That is not a long time. And already Sunak has shown no way that he can actually control these Tory rebellions. But then again, neither could David Cameron, neither could Theresa May, and it certainly looks like Rishi Sunak does not seem to be able to control those rebellions either. So we're going to get into this just to see even how really deep Sunak really is. And oh boy, the pit is deep. It's a really, really deep pit here. But yeah, before we do getting into this, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And down below, there is a link to my Patreon page and a motivation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help and support the channel that way. And of course, there is the YouTube thank you button as well down below, and the Pony Club you can join as well, the YouTube subscription if you'd like to support the channel that way. So on we go to The Independent with their article on this, titled of Rishi Sunak warned he only has 6 months to get a grip as Tory rebellions grow. And not Tory rebellion, rebellions. That's just how many there are. This is a real danger situation for Rishi Sunak. So, in we go. Rishi Sunak has been warned he only has 6 months to get a grip on the government and transform the Conservative Party fortunes, as a series of major rebellions by Tory MPs have gained momentum. Former party chair Sir Jake Berry added his name on Sunday to the list of Tory figures trying to force the Prime Minister to drop his de facto ban on onshore wind farms. The Levelling Up Secretary, Michael Gove, is also understood to have wanted to end the onshore wind moratorium, after Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and COP26 President Alok Sharma backed a rebel amendment. Sir Jake said that Gove's reported opposition to the ban in cabinet spells real danger for the government, suggesting that it is the first crack in the wall for Mr. Sunak's government. And suggesting that discipline was beginning to break down, he told BBC's Sunday with Lorna Koonsberg, "I was in the Liz Truss government, and he knew it was over when we lost the collective cabinet responsibility." Mr. Berry also said that Sunak had a narrower window of 6 months until the local elections in May to persuade voters he can get a grip. Big issues prove his competency. There is only 18 months really until the next general election, he added. In the last 12 months, no one is really going to be listening because it's all about the election campaign. So we've got about 6 months to get this right. That's not a long time. That really isn't a long time. And the fact that these rebellions continue to grow should be very alarming to Sunak. But anyway, we continue. The former Chancellor, George Osborne, has also warned Mr. Sunak on Sunday that there was a general sense the government was not in control of events, telling the Andrew Neil show the public mood was, quote, dangerous for a government. Miss Truss and Mr. Johnson were also among the dozen of Tory MPs believed to be backing the pro-onshore wind amendment to Mr. Gove's Levelling Up bill by the former Levelling Up Minister Simon Clarke. Mr. Gove, who expressed his desire to see new onshore wind developments earlier this year, has told allies he supports to end the de facto ban. And according to the Sunday Telegraph, Tory MP Elliot Colburn and Robert Kearns and Kevin Foster are also set to add their signatures to this amendment. So there is a serious rebellion growing here. A serious one. And a rebel source, it continues with, said that 30 Tories now back the bid, coming very close to eroding Sunak's working majority of 69 votes, if any other opposition parties join Labour in backing the amendment. Mr. Sunak is also facing a major challenge on house building targets. The PM was forced to pull a vote on the legislation that would set a target for over 30,000 homes per year, with more than over 50 Tories signed as a rebel amendment. So that's 50. 30 for the onshore wind one, and now 50 for the levelling up house building one. And we've already talked about this, about how you've got rebels wanting this and other rebels annoyed that they're giving concessions to the rebels. It's going to be a vicious cycle. It really is. But it gets back to it. This row has escalated on Sunday when senior Tories insisted that the house building targets were vital and must be kept in legislation. Ex-Minister Sajid Javid and Brandon Lewis argued that the Tories could lose the next election if they failed to help more young people onto the housing ladder. Mr. Javid said there was a real risk of creating a generation that turns its back on the politicians who have failed them, arguing in a piece in the Sunday Times that home ownership should remain deep at the heart of the Conservative philosophy. Another brewing rebellion, so this is the third rebellion we've got going on, said that several Tories have also spoken about the PM's, quote, mindless plan for a crackdown on overseas students in a frantic bid to cut immigration numbers. Number 10 has confirmed this week that the Prime Minister was considering to stop international students bringing dependents and even restricting admissions to top universities. Chris Skidmore, Tory MP and Tory peer Joe Johnson, and ex-Education Minister David Willis said that this would damage the UK's reputation and economic growth. It is hard to imagine a policy more likely to harm the UK ambitions to become a science superpower and level up across the country than a mindless crackdown on international students, Mr. Johnson's former MP's brother told The Observer. Meanwhile, Mr. Sunak is also facing mounting frustration over looming strikes by the NHS, rail staff, and postal workers. Transport Secretary Mark Harper insisted that the pay rises were in line with inflation and are unaffordable for the public sector. There simply isn't the money, he told Sky News. Well, there is, just that Sunak just does not want to go after that money. But anyway, back to it. Mr. Sunak will also set out his economic vision to city figures at the annual Lord Mayor's banquet on Monday. That has also contended with an expected, quote, mass exodus of Conservative MPs. The government's net zero czar, Chris Skidmore, became the 9th to say that they will not contest the next election at a surprise announcement by the star of the Red War in the 2019 intake of Devon Davidson. So this is what also we've talked about as well, that you've got Tory MPs stepping down because they know they're going to lose. So the second that general election gets called, they can start searching for a job. But Cabinet Minister Mark Harper insisted the exodus was, quote, nothing to write home about. Yes, I think that's pretty bad, where you've got MPs deciding en masse, in even first-time MPs deciding, yeah, I'm not going to run again. Especially star figures of that 2019 intake, as was mentioned there. He was insisted that it was, quote, normal for a flurry of announcements to be made since the Tories have been given until the 5th of December to make a decision on whether they will stand. It comes as Labour has shared analysis suggesting that the Tories in, quote, red wall seats in the north of England have been left with decreasing amounts to contest in the next election, with more party donations funneled into the blues wall seats in the south. Labour strategists who have examined the pattern of donations in the Electoral Commission's records and in the registries of MP interests have dubbed it Mr. Sunak's Southern Comfort strategy. So they are quite ready and prepared to lose the red wall while desperately trying to shore up their Tory heartlands. As we've said before, back under Boris Johnson, Johnson could not keep the north. He would lose the south. If he lost that, he wouldn't have a majority. If he lost the north but kept the south, again, he would not have a majority. The Savannah Comms Reese poll for The Independent, and one last month by Mr. Sunak taking over from Liz Truss, showed that Labour enjoyed an 18-point lead, with experts saying that the Sunak bounce had now flatlined. Tory MPs on the right of the party have warned that if poll numbers did not improve by the local elections in spring, it could see a push for the return of, quote, election winner Boris Johnson. So they're seriously not looking at the reason why they're losing and instead want to put Boris Johnson back in. Are you crazy? Are you mad? You're going to put Boris Johnson back in? The desperation currently going on in the Tory party is not only just reached fever pitch levels, it has literally self-immolated itself. It has been rubbing together that much. And no amount of water that Sunak is trying to pour on it will seem to work. It is an absolute disaster in the Tory party. And even a lot of people are saying that a lot of Tory MPs, they're resigned to lose the next election. They are very happy to go and lose the next election. This is why I think potentially the May elections could be seen as a bellwether to see if we go for an early general election. If the Tories lose, they're going to say, well, how badly did we lose? And should we just go for a general election now and maybe just put Boris Johnson in? But if you put Boris Johnson in, he is not going to be an election winner. That Boris Johnson electoral magic has well and truly faded. The idea you would even consider putting him back in is just tantamount to sheer insanity. But as always, this is the current state of the Tory party. So, as always, guys, like I say, this is fantastic news for us, though. So, I say the more this happens, the better it is for us. But so, yeah, as always, guys, like I say, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help support the channel. Please remember to hit the like and share button on your way out. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a foundation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And of course, there's the YouTube thank you button and the Pony Club down below as well. You can join. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.